Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to be looking over a viewer game. So I put out a request in my MAIRU guide for people to go on my Discord server and make an application to play in this game. So in this series, much like the Shitter Bowl, we're going to be taking a observer perspective, looking at the players. So let us go over the players, starting with Urmor. So Urmor is being played by Surfusa, who is relatively new to the game, but he has some multiplayer experience. He's still trying to figure out how magic works in the mid to late game, and he is representing the United Kingdom and also Arizona. So this is turn 3. Messenger has arrived from Tian Chi. All 3 Urmors is a bit much, isn't it? Another thing about this game is all diplomacy will be done in-game. So we will be able to see all the messages sent by other players, sent to other people. So we can see his bless here. So he has shock, fire resist, a lot of MR, undying, that seems appropriate, and undead regeneration. That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. So, well, if these skeletons were sacred, they would be regenerating. But he doesn't really have much to face here. That said, bumping into that priest, I wonder... Yeah, he actually picked up a few kills that were probably undeserved. So this is the map, by the way. Urmor spawning over here. Like all good Urmors, he's completely tanked his scales, except he has high luck, I guess, and then a little research. Urmor can't recruit units, they only summon them, or rather they revive their leaders, and they just get troops passively by owning land and spreading their dominion there. So all of Urmor's land will eventually turn to 0 population, as their dominion naturally kills off all the people inside of it. And the fact that he's running death scales furthers that dying rate. So his prophet is named Jesus. Nah, not the best name I've ever seen. Looks like he's researching. He's researching, going for Conjuration 3 for his Wailing Lady. I do know that these are really strong, so that seems like a good idea. And some Evocation, then all the way to Thaumaturgy 5. I guess Burden of Time? I don't know. Anyway, he should be able to take this province pretty easily, I assume. Yeah, not much else to say about Urmor. Urmor is generally considered a kill-on-sight nation because of the way their dominion interacts with the game and how skeletons just keep spawning with it. So, considering Surf is relatively new to the game, I am curious how he will react diplomatically to his opponents and how he will fight them. Because as you may be able to tell with 8 players, this map's a little bit crowded. Although he is in a pretty good position with these thrones. There's a nice ring of thrones right here in this area. And in this chunk of land, it's considerably sparser. So Celeria is being played by 4 Fates. He is, according to him, a legend at Dominions 5. He has played in at least 6 other multiplayer games of Dominions and has lost every single game so far. He is presently playing in another game, getting absolutely annihilated. He is representing the glorious state of Pennsylvania, and he wants to tell us that he will win this time. He can feel it in his bones, if you know what I mean. Insert nation who is all about death and skeletons. Celeria, of course, being all about skeletons. The neat thing about Celeria is, while they do have a bunch of human troops, much like normal Urmor does, they have reanimator priests, which means they can reanimate the dead. Curious how his sacreds will do here. Did they get blessed? No, they didn't. He didn't bless them. Seems like a mistake. But he's able to clean up the province, no problem. Get some misfortune in that land he took. So yes, as I was saying, Reanimator Priests, all of Celeria's mages have this tag, including their clerics. So when you click research, you can click reanimate, and it lets you get a certain number of undead. You get better returns and better quality undead if you're higher level, if you're a higher level priest. So basically, Celeria can really afford to turtle and sit around and just sort of pump out undead in mass numbers because their cheap cultists can do the reanimation as well. And these guys are only 1 recruitment point, so you can really get a big army out fast. I don't really know if I agree with making these gladiators. These guys, they only do 1 hit, and then they instantly run away. Effectively, they die after they hit 1 time. As it says here in the flavor text. So, I mean, they're strong units. I just think they're probably better for emergencies. Not really great for expansion, but I don't know. I mean, I guess if he gets it to work. He also has these Shadow Vestals, which are one of 2 sacred units he can recruit, the other one being the Lictor. But these guys, 45 gold for these things, and he just threw away 2 of them? Like, fighting indies? I mean, what's his bless? His bless is okay. I don't know if it really would have helped. Maybe the extra HP would have made a difference. Already bumping into another player, Rook. No diplomacy with them yet. Anyway, it looks like he has fairly easy expansion all around here. And here we have Pythium being played by Niberitos, who is also new to Dominions 5 multiplayer. He thinks he played one Dominions 4 multiplayer game years ago and got crushed. He is representing the nation of Germany, so he is our token European for this game. Outside of Surfusa, I suppose. So Pythium, much like Urmor, is pretty strong human troops. Definitely more than enough to beat this Indie Swarm. Just chucking javelins. Yeah, he's able to mop that up pretty easily. So I'm curious what his bless is. Poison resistance, undying, HP 4, unaging. Actually very similar to Celeria's bless. And also a little similar to Urmor's bless. So all the 3 Urmors are in this nice crescent shape, all next to each other, relatively. So I'd be curious to see them bump into each other. Celeria seems sort of designed to kill Urmor because Celeria just constantly makes priests, so they can, you know, they'll never not have banishment on hand. And he is immediately going right here for this swamp. Lizards are a supremely valuable indie. Maybe not super useful for Pythium because the dude already has astral stuff, but I don't know if he has astral nature. I guess not, so he gets nature in his communions. That's cool. I like this recruitment. Again, outside the gladiators, I feel like these things are a little too expensive to make for expansion. But Pythium gets this really neato unit. The Communicant is basically a unit that is a communion slave, so he contributes to your communions, acts as a slave, but you know, I mean, he's a unit. You can't really script him like a commander would. You can only make 1 a turn, but these things are really insane. This is a super cool unit, and the more of these guys you get out, the greater your communion becomes. Pythium, if anything, they get some of the best communions in the game off of this unit. Because while other people are recruiting 1 astral communion dude a turn, Pythium is getting 2. Also, another neat thing about Pythium is they have priests in their communions, so they can get high up into the holy tree. Again, making them very good at beating Urmor or Celeria because they will always have access to really high priest levels. All of these guys, all of their mages are priests. So he has his prophet Rudy Winkler going over here into the swamp. Still, I think he could be expanding here already. I don't know if making another mage is necessarily worth it. And here we have Ulm being played by Chad Fuckler, who has 0 experience. He is representing the state of Washington. He is a tier 3 Pokimane sub, and he wants us all to know the following. Where am I? It's dark, and I hear someone walking down the stairs. Help. So he received a gold coin from Tian Chi and a message. Penny for your thoughts, fellow air breather. And then he got a random event. A sage. He searches for a place called the Library of Time. Tired of his long and fruitless quest, he now seeks employment at your service. I don't know if this event means that the Library of Time is nearby, but that's a really good magical site. Still, just getting this mage is pretty excellent, just a free researcher. And Ulm sort of already gets a deluge of mages because of their citadel. So it looks like he is trying to fight the barbs here with this army. The scripting kind of sucks. Like, there's not really a reason to have 2 squads of these Ulmites. It's kind of just better to shovel them all into one. The line is bigger. You run lesser risk of one squad getting cut down to size and then checking for morale and then like mass routing your whole army. It just makes them a little more consistent. Also, yeah, like this is just a terrible blunder. These guys should be in this army. Because barbarians, Ulmites can definitely absolutely beat barbarians, especially the guys with mauls. But that's assuming equivalent numbers. And 40 barbs against, what, like 20 units? That seems really sketchy, especially with no scripting and no spells being cast. I mean, the AI will cast spells because that makes sense, but, like, you want him to cast specific stuff, right? You don't want to just do random stuff. Looks like he's going down construction, perfectly cromulent research path to focus for as Ulm. And here we have Tian Chi being played by Cololification at YouTube. He is moderately experienced at Dominions 5, and he is representing Belarus. He wants us to know shit. So here's his starting expansion army. Tian Chi, very generic human troops. Just basically 10s across the board. We can see what his blesses on his red guard. Attack skill, solar weapons, and magic resistance. So, that's weird. I mean, solar weapons are cool, I guess. It's like a little extra damage. And some extra attack skill. I mean, you know, these are somewhat blessed cavalry. I would have gone more, though. I think Tian Chi's cavalry, you can make them really strong by giving them a big bless. So the commanders get picked off by the Sacreds, while the pikemen hold up the front line. I guess they actually run. But he takes that province. Loses a few footmen, but nothing that can't be replaced, and he bought some swordsman mercs. And looks like he's taking the mercs and sweaty VTuber Otaku here to hit the Jaguar tribe. Curious why he has these things scripted to attack flyers. That's strange. Otherwise, nothing of note here. He is correct, subs are better than dubs. That's just obvious. Not putting PD in your province is stupid, though. You should always do that. Not putting... I'm firmly of the belief that if you don't put PD in your province, it's just a mistake. It's never correct. There is no situation where 0 PD is optimal, except in some sort of diplomatic, like, trade of a province. And even then, why not once you know what they walked into it with? I don't know. Recruiting these Imperial consorts, I have to wonder why. Like, I mean, they're good, you know, spies are great, but Like, what? You need to expand. You don't need to worry about, like, finding your opponents just yet. You'll bump into your opponents naturally just by taking provinces. And then you can make your spies. Like, you know, I mean, he'll have a pretty decently sized raiding party next turn with 7 Red Guard cavalry. He could definitely do some expanding with that. But what's he gonna have lead it? I guess this thing? Or maybe this guy? Seems kind of trash. I guess this is the best you're gonna get. He's got Fortune Teller. That's not... Oh, that's okay. That's good. That's a quality trait, for sure. But Tian Chi here, clearly going hard scales. So, it makes sense his Bless isn't really that crazy, because he's playing for late game, which I think is reasonable. And here we have Rook, who's being played by a little girl who likes to drink tea. He is an old blind master when it comes to Dominions 5. He is representing the beautiful city of Prague, and he wants us all to know that Euchary is the most important thing. He got a message from Tian Chi claiming that his country is weird. And here he is, going out to the desert to fight a couple of horse tribe. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there. Just Enkidu soldiers walk up and poke those things. High strength, pretty okay. So, Uruk sending out a message, presumably to Celeria. Taking his pink Crocs and checking out what Celeria is doing, expansion-wise. And we didn't see his Bless in that battle, but Uruk's Bless is actually pretty insane. Like, he has taken attack, defense skill, a lot of resistances, and also larger, which I have to assume he took larger so that way these things get some extra regeneration bracket or something. Like they'll heal more when they regenerate, because has really easy access to high nature. Uruk. Uruk here also having an excellent indie spawn next to them, the lizards, but again, they're not really a nation that can exploit the lizards too well. A little unfortunate, actually. I mean, great for Uruk, great for Pythium, but definitely some of the other players, probably Ulm, would have really loved to have these, and they're not going to get them. Ulm maybe could hope for lizards here, but probably not. And here we have Jabalba being played by Blurb. He has played since Dominions 4, but he's still not very good. He's played a few multiplayer games, but he hasn't won one yet. Well, maybe this will be the game. He got a message from Tian Chi who said, "I honestly didn't even know Jabalba was in this game until just now. Thought you want to know." So here's your average MA Jabalban army consisting of a bunch of frogs that don't wear helmets, so they're just asking to get bashed in the head. But they have these neat little red-black sacred frogs, and he has taken a pretty insane bless on these things. I mean, they've got crazy undying, really strong charged bodies with shock resistance. I mean, it's not enough shock resistance, but these things hit hard when they get blessed. They suddenly become very, very strong. Especially when they shoot their darts, they can also kill. So easily able to clean up that province. The middle-age version of Jabalba is not entirely frogs. They do have some Zots. I'm curious why he is recruiting the Zot warriors, because these things are like the worst part about Jabalba. Definitely makes sense to get some Camazots though. These things are great. Excellent mages. Wonder why he's making a Zot Batab. I guess to lead the Zot warriors, but You have so few of them. I don't know. I don't know what his plan is. I do like that he is preferring the lance versions of these guys over the obsidian club sword ones. It's not reflected in the damage, but these things do get a charge bonus for the first strike, so they do actually do a lot more than is listed there. And really, these things have no staying power at all, so they're never going to get a bunch of hits off and do a lot of damage. Like, you know, I mean, these guys, they want to stick around and they want to keep hitting with their club, but they're, you know, 0 protection. 7 HP. No, they die to anything. So it looks like he's got pretty easy expansion ahead of him. Again, a wacky nonsense throne here. Spring Hawks and Icarids? What is this, like, ridiculous throne? A huge Titan of Heaven? Griffins? How absurd. He does have Jade Amazons over here. Pretty neat. Gets water and nature. Not really something Jabalba needs to find. They got this already, but again, it's something that probably another player would really like, but is probably not going to get. And finally, we have our final player, Thimblewald, who is playing as Yis, pretty experienced with Dominions 5, still has not won a game, hopes to win this time. He got a message from Tian Chi. Fish people that are also elves, stay in your pond, please. We don't need your normie fish elf genes polluting the surface world. And besides, that's plenty of land all for you. Thank ye. So here's Yis taking his starting army, which is just a bunch of crappy marrows. And he's got one Morgan champion trying to take out some shamblers. Shamblers are big and they hit hard. They're not so tough when their commander gets killed. So this bless on Yis is pretty intense. Attack, defense, poison, extra HP, extra strength, blood surge, and movement speed. So yeah, I mean, combat speed 54, these things are really fast. They can get around really quickly on the battlefield. Very frightening units. Very scary thug. Not really sure what can realistically beat this thing in an early game war. He also purchased the Swimming Men mercs. And it looks like he's immediately sending them down here to fight these Ictiids. I don't know how this battle will go. Windrunner seems totally superfluous, like your speed is already insane. How much faster do you need to go? He's taking his expansion army and trying for these militia and shamblers. I'm sure he won't have a problem there. Looks like he is a little blocked here on the ocean, though. I mean, Triton Knights, that's a little taxing. I think he would need some more of our Knights to take that out efficiently. Tritons are no problem at all. But if I were in Yis's shoes, I would highly consider going for these provinces. These look pretty easy to take, and you want to get on land quick with Yis and establish yourself before the other players can push you off, like Tian Chi. I also don't know if these scales are good. It seems like he's cucked himself badly. Like, he can't make more than one Morpharch Knight with this resources. I mean, maybe when he fills out his cap circle, he can make 2 or 3, but that seems like it's terrible. Like, that seems extremely low. And so that is the end of part 1 and turn 3 of this game, Shalashaska. Hope you'll tune in next time.